Hey YouTube, it's Jaden, and got another video, real quick though. I was thinking about patriarchy for some reason. I don't know, I've been on like this weird, well, it's not weird, but I feel like I've been overdoing social justice. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I think there's a time and place for it, you know what I mean? Like, I don't wanna be that guy, or that person for that matter, that their personality is social justice, because that makes you like, you know, nobody to hang around. Like, that makes you unfun, right? That's kind of the thing. Like, they say that like liberals and like, you know, people on the left, like you can't have fun around them because they'll make everything into like a problem, you know? Like, it's kind of it kind of is. I kind of understand that now, because every time I watch Family Guy, I've been watching Family Guy as of late. That was one of the first shows that I've ever like gotten into because of my dad, actually. And hold on, I'm sorry. Let me get mine. Yeah. Family Guy was like one of the first shows I've ever gotten into because my dad like used to watch it, and you know, I was like young and I used to like watch it in passing, I guess. And you know, it's like it's a cartoon, but you know, it's not really for children. So like now that, you know, I'm old enough, you know, I watch it, and you know, there's some like politically incorrect jokes, and it's like in my mind I'm like, they shouldn't have said that, but it's like it was back then. Like, you know, I should just, there's some things that you gotta let slide, you know what I mean? Especially like if it's in the past, like there's nothing you can do about it anymore anyways. Like, you know what I mean? Like in my mind, it's like I can't even laugh anymore. But it's like sometimes you just gotta let a joke be a joke sometimes, you know what I mean? Especially knowing like the creator of the show is actually like very left leaning. I don't know if he's like very left leaning, but like I think he identifies as like a liberal. And I'm pretty sure he's like, I mean, I don't know, he's like left leaning as in like, at least he was left leaning for the time, you know. I'm sure I don't know where he stands now. But, and like you can tell in the show like where he stands, because he makes a lot of jokes about like George Bush and, you know, like Reagan and stuff like that. Like it's very clear like where he stands on like that side of politics, but like then he also makes jokes about like what are they called? I don't want to use short people, you know what I mean, or small people. I don't know the right terminology, but you know, the vertically challenged people, right? And like he makes jokes about like, you know, he makes like racist jokes, and it's like, you know, like it's funny for its time, but it's like, you know, now where I stand in my political, I guess, spectrum, you know, now it's like I can't even, sometimes I can't laugh, but it's like, dude, just let a joke be a joke. But yeah, so I say all that because I've been thinking about, so in the show, like I said, they make jokes or whatever, and they made a joke about like patriarchy or whatever, and you know, I'm not gonna lie, as a man, you know, now that I know like what fully, hold on, give me a second, I'm sorry, somebody's calling me, give me like 5 minutes, hold on, let me pause it. Okay, I'm back. Yeah, so as a man, you know, like I said, I don't know where I stand. Well, I know where I stand, but it's like I'm getting there. You know what I mean? Like it's a little hard for me to get there. If I'm being, I gotta be honest. I know it's kind of hard on the ears of you know, maybe women and non-binary people that might be listening to my videos, but it's a little hard because, you know, that means if I don't support patriarchy, it gets rid of kind of the little shticks that come with it. You know what I mean? Like, I obviously, like, there's the big things that I don't appreciate, right? Like, you know, and there's a lot of things that I actually learned, right? Like, so, you know, patriarchy. There's a huge thing. Like, I remember I made a presentation. Hold on, give me a second. I'm sorry. I made a presentation back in like 10th grade about, you know, the wage gap between like men and women, right? And, you know, that's like one of the an eye-opening, obviously like a huge factor, right? That is a result of patriarchy, right? And obviously I was on the side of like, women, right? Or, non-binary. Well, I guess I didn't really know about non-binary people back then. I don't think like half the world or anyone, like a lot of people in my demographic really did either. But, I was on the side of, the marginalized community. And, and I was like, yeah, women should be making as much as men, right? And they should have, especially like given like the personal time off, like if they have a child or whatever, et cetera, et cetera. Stuff like that, right? And then, I was thinking about it some more, like these couple years, and I was like, if patriarchy goes away, what happens when I marry a woman? You know what I mean? Like when I marry the right one, she probably won't have my name or my last name. You know what I mean? She'll probably keep her last name. I don't know how that works, but I know that you like the reason why the woman usually takes the last name of the man or takes the man's last name is strictly because of the patriarchy, right? Like if it was matriarchy, it would be the exact opposite. Like I would take the like my wife's last name, right? Like that's just how it goes. And low key, I'm not gonna lie, like all my life, I'm not gonna lie, like I kind of hope. I was always thinking that like whenever I pictured myself marrying somebody, I always pictured themselves as like especially when I was in middle school, and I talked about that girl Catherine or whatever, and I pictured myself marrying her or whatever. I was like, Catherine Reddick sounds amazing. That sounds like a fantastic last name for her. You know what I mean? I couldn't imagine myself as, well, I'm not gonna say her last name, but I couldn't imagine myself with her last name. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like I can't genuinely lie. Like that seems a little weird. Like I'm not saying that to be sexist or to be like rude. It's just like America's lived under this ideology for ever since the Constitution has been made. So it's like this is all I know. You know what I mean? Like I thought that when my mom married my stepfather, my last name was gonna change from Reddick to his last name. I gotta be careful. I'm not gonna say their last names, but it's like I genuinely thought like my last name was gonna change. Because like that's crazy. Because like that's literally how indoctrinated patriarchy is ingrained in our system. And then turns out, my last name stayed the same, but it was like my mom's last name didn't. Like her last name is now his last name. And hypothetically speaking, if she married again, which wouldn't happen, but like she would take on that man's last name, and she would never keep her last name. Like her original last name wasn't even my last name. Like her original last name, well, since I was born, was what it was, and my last name was still my father's last name. You know what I mean? Like I was still a Reddick, even though my mom was something different. And I think that's like low key. I don't know. Like I picture my wife to be a Reddick, and I picture my kids to be a Reddick. I'm not gonna lie to you. And again, it's so indoctrinated in America that it's like, my dad jokes with me, and obviously, like it's seriously a joke. I was actually talking about my club with him. And I didn't tell y'all about my club. I'm starting a socialist Marxist club in Delco County, Delaware County, Delco, and it might be a chapter of the YDSA, which is the Young Democratic Socialists of America. Be on the lookout for the Cheney YDSA. Anyways, but yeah, like it's so patriarchy is so indoctrinated in our culture that like me and my dad like actually joke around with this, but It's for real. Like, he says, like, once you marry, like, the right one, like, carry on our lineage. You know what I mean? And it's like, that sounds so primitive, but it's like, it's low-key true. Like, I am carrying on his last name, which is his father's last name, which is his father's last name, et cetera, et cetera. It's never the mom's last name, And I don't know. I don't know. I was just thinking about that. But it's interesting though, right? Like, you definitely see a lot more black people. I think you only see black people doing this. I've never seen any other minority doing this, where they make their last name like X, right? Like, I was just speaking to a Marxist another day. I was speaking to somebody on Zoom the other day, and his name was, I'm not gonna say his name, but his name was like blank X, right? His last name was X. And why black people do it, I think I'm just paraphrasing, is because they don't want the last name of their slave owner, right? And so, I actually do understand that sentiment, but at the same time, it's like, not gonna lie, I feel like it's doing a little too much. I'm not gonna lie. Especially when you're like so far removed from your slave owner. It's like, don't nobody even think about your slave owner like that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not even trying to be like, this is not even like a joke type thing. It's like, I'm so far removed from him. Like, I don't know the actual generation. I'm sure it was like the 1800s, 1700s, right? But it's like, like, it's been so long ago that like Reddick is a black family. I don't consider Reddick to be a slave owner's last name. I consider Reddick to be a black family's last name. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Just a couple thoughts. So if patriarchy, I don't appreciate patriarchy as a whole, but I will say I would like my kids to have the same last name as me. So if we do end up removing patriarchy in my lifetime, I would like to just keep in the idea of keeping the man's last name for both the wife and the kids. I don't know. Just a thought. Don't kill me over it. Just thinking. I don't know. That's all I really want. Everything else you can remove. I don't care for it. I never appreciated it. There's some stuff I still don't even know about that I'm pretty sure I wouldn't appreciate. But yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I can't imagine having a woman's last name unless it sounds kind of cool. Reddick is kind of a decent last name. That's all I'm saying. All right, that's all I got. Peace.